Despite growing up in church my whole life, I had not yet read the Bible cover to cover at that point.
Okay.
So I flipped through the Bible to find a short book to read. Of all the books I chose to read, I happened to read
Ruslan.
All right, you got another one for me?
Yes.
How many more you got?
Let's see.
I don't want to keep asking for them and then
3. I have 3.
Okay, 3 more.
This is from Haley. Haley said, in my senior year, my friend and I were placed with 2 of the younger girls to dorm with while we were on a youth group retreat. The time came to go to our dorms for the night, and naturally, we were too excited and energized to sleep. So rather than goof off, we decided to do the responsible Christian thing and read through an entire book of the Bible together with the girls.
Respect.
It was my job to pick the book of the Bible to read through, and I knew I would need a short one. Despite growing up in church my whole life, I had not yet read the Bible cover to cover at that point.
Okay.
So I flipped through the Bible to find a short book to read. Of all the books I chose to read, I happened to read and choose Song of Solomon.
Hold on. Did she happen to say which translation?
No.
Because the Song of Solomon in the KJV, I'm not too concerned about. Song of Solomon in the NLT?
They let you know.
Bro, that joint's explicit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She said, however, I was so oblivious to what I was reading aloud that I didn't connect the dots until chapter 7. Specifically verse 8, which reads, I will go to the top of the palm tree and take hold of its branches. Oh, may your breasts be like the fruit of the vine and the sweet smell of your breath like pleasing fruit. Before I realized it, I had nearly read through the entire book of Song of Solomon to a 12-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, that's dark. That's dark. But you know, I think that's a fire book. I think that's a great book, you know, especially if you're married.
Yeah. If you're married, it's a great book.
Yeah. If you're not married, you shouldn't be reading a 12-year-old. I think I'm not 100% certain on this, but I believe Jewish boys couldn't read that book until they were 13.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think you have to be 13 to read.
That would make sense, yeah.
Solomon, you know, which when you talk about like purity culture and you talk about, you know, how like much Puritan values influence Christians, it's very ironic considering that Song of Solomon is very explicit.
Yeah, very
explicit. I think she's dancing nude for him.
There's quite a bit.
There's a lot of stuff in there, which is like, I think it's a great story about pleasure and God's design for enjoying relationship and pleasure, but not for little kids.
Yeah. So your comment about the translation, I'm curious because she made it to what, chapter 7 before realizing. So would that mean that KJV maybe it was a little harder for her to realize and connect the dots?
Yeah, that sounded like the New King James.
This one, you think this was New?
Yeah, New King James.
I
don't know if
go
it's
to the top
NLT.
of the palm tree and take hold of its branches.
Or maybe not.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to do some research.
Yeah, we got to do some research on that. Yeah, what do you make of folks who will say Song of Solomon is really about Jesus and the church?
I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of it, to be honest.
Because there's some freaky stuff going on between Jesus and the church that I don't think I want any parts of.
Yeah, I'm good on that. I actually haven't heard that though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to see something crazy? Over 50% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. And out of the people that are subscribed, less than 10% actually have their bell notification on. So do me a solid. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure the bell notification is turned on so you don't miss anything we got going here. All right? Peace. Yeah, so my church went through a ton of phases. And initially it was a phase, you know, we were kind of like a edgy, cool church and kind of more of like a seeker church. And then when we were a seeker church, and not really a seeker church, we've just evolved a lot, charismatic a little bit. And so one time we went through, it could have been a huger contrast. One time we go through Song of Solomon and it's positioned as, as this is about Jesus in the church. Literally 3-4 years later, we become the Calvinist church. We become the super duper Calvinistic church. And then we go through it a second time. And the second time we go through it, we're like, no, this is about marriage and intimacy. Couldn't have been a polar opposite interpretation of it. And that's one thing that I do appreciate about some Calvinists is that they do have I think a better theology around pleasure. You know what I mean? And probably post Mark Driscoll, they had a better, because I think he did a series called Princess and Bride in the mid 2000s, and we literally just taught it a second time, and it was like all about.
I heard. So we went to a church in Florida one time, and they did a series on it, and we were there for like vacation or something. It was just a week, and I think it was Between the Sheets. I think is what they called it, and I'm pretty sure it was on Song of Solomon.
Yep.
So yeah, that's.
What do you make of purity culture in general, right? Like you grew up Christian. Did you grow up with a healthy understanding of biology? Did you grow up with a healthy understanding of pleasure, of how all these things worked? Me and my son, we started having these conversations early about the biology, and mom has the seed, dad has the sperm. This is how it works. Seed goes in them, right? Like, so we've gotten there, and now he's starting to ask, like, well, how does the sperm get into the seed? And so we're about to have like the pleasure conversation. So he's 8. So we've been having these conversations for a while. From your perspective, obviously, if people don't have a great understanding of the biology or the pleasure aspect, I think at a reasonable age, then they can grow up with a very distorted, confusing version of sex.
So for me, Sierra and I were each other's first. We got married. First, not her first boyfriend, but my first girlfriend. So thankfully, we saved each other. Saved ourselves for each other, which is really cool, I think.
Awesome.
When it comes to the purity culture, I think there does need to be like those talks, just to know, like, I don't think you need explicit detail.
Yeah.
But you do need to know like what's going to happen, what's going on. And I also think you shouldn't completely shield. I think that's the biggest thing that people get into when it comes to the purity culture is, I don't know, the Duggars come to mind. Just like completely like turn the other way, like you can't know anything about the opposite gender, and I think that's more damaging than anything. And I think that's where a lot of the purity culture gets a bad rap, is the, oh my goodness, like that girl was wearing a bikini, like I'm gonna go to hell.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think we will then take the woman's body and demonize it as a whole, which I think is unhelpful, because it's not the woman's body that's evil. It's what men do in perverting the woman's body and making it into an object that's evil. Yeah. And so I think that's like the over correction.
They like basically take it out on the woman instead of correct the culture with the man.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Our young adult pastor is a great friend of ours. Basically, before Sierra and I were married, he's like, dude, just so you know, I know both. I mean, obviously he knew that Sierra and I had saved ourselves. And he's like, I'm just going to like give you the talk as someone who's been married within the past 4 years. And I will say I was very thankful for that. It was like, it wasn't weird. He's just like, hey, this is what you need to know. Yeah. This is what's going to happen.
Yep.
And then we had premarital with our pastor, and obviously they go through all that kind of stuff, but you just don't make it weird.
Yep.
And it should be talked about.
Hey, this is a segment from our daily after party stream. Consider partnering with us online for as little as $5 a month to get access to these daily after party streams completely unedited. You'll also get access to our podcast as they are streamed live into the community before anyone else gets to see them, get to interact with our guests, get access to our private Discord server, and a discount code for our store for as little as $5 a month. Ultimately, that will help towards helping us continue contextualizing the gospel using media and podcast here on YouTube. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.